What if the United States government discovered something so inexplicable, so fundamentally outside the boundaries of known science, that the only rational response was to move in permanently and never leave? Not a military base, not a research university, a ranch, a 512-acre patch of high desert in Utah where gravity bends. Cameras capture objects that should not exist, radiation spikes without a source, and every single attempt to shut it down has failed. This is not a rumor. This is not a conspiracy theory. The instruments are real. The federal contracts are real. And the phenomenon, whatever it is still happening right now. In 2026, a multi-agency United States science team made a decision that has no precedent in modern research. They stopped visiting Skinwalker Ranch and moved in permanently, bringing nuclear-grade sensors, precision radar, and gravitational equipment sensitive enough to detect density changes 20 feet underground. And when asked why, the answer was 4 words: they cannot close it. These are not paranormal investigators with handheld cameras. These are federally contracted physicists, and they are standing in the Utah desert pointing every instrument they have at a fixed point in the sky, writing in their own documentation that whatever is generating these readings will not stop, cannot be turned off, and does not respond to anything they have tried. Skinwalker Ranch first entered public consciousness in the mid-1990s when a ranching family reported cattle mutilations, strange lights, and incidents so disturbing they abandoned the property entirely. What they left behind was not forgotten. By the late 1990s, the ranch had been purchased by Robert Bigelow, a billionaire with deep interest in anomalous phenomena, who installed a resident science team and began accumulating data that eventually reached the Pentagon. Between 2007 and 2012, the Defense Intelligence Agency formally funded data collection here. Those reports, now partially public, confirm recorded unidentified aerial phenomena at the site. This was not fringe interest. This was the Pentagon paying attention. At a fixed set of GPS coordinates above the ranch's eastern mesa, researchers have recorded across multiple independent nights a localized gravitational anomaly repeatable to within instrument tolerance, a narrow column of ionized air carrying gamma radiation up to 7 times background levels, visual anomalies appearing on calibrated cameras that adjacent cameras pointed at the same sky fail to capture, and infrasound pulses that correlate with those visual events to within 2 seconds. Each reading in isolation has a conventional explanation, but the pattern, repeatable at one fixed location while failing to appear at control sites in Nevada, New Mexico, and Wyoming, is what kept the investigation alive. Between 2022 and 2023, the team attempted active interventions. They flooded the mesa with high-intensity light, directed microwave energy at the anomaly zone, and launched a rocket directly into the recorded coordinates. Nothing changed. Then in 2025, they tried the opposite, powering down every electronic system on the ranch for 72 hours to prove the anomalies were instrument-driven. 2 independent observer crews stationed off-site with passive infrared equipment confirmed the anomalies continued anyway. That was the moment the phrase "cannot be closed" entered the investigator notes. Whatever is there does not need the equipment to be running. It does not need anyone watching. It was doing this before the researchers arrived, and it kept doing it when they left. The 2026 federal installation is serious hardware: a muon detector array, precision microdoppler radar, a LiDAR fence line covering the eastern mesa to a 2-centimeter resolution, and atmospheric neutron and tritium counters, the same sensors used at nuclear facilities. The federal government does not deploy this class of equipment because of a television show. Serious alternative explanations remain on the table. The Uinta Basin sits above one of the most aggressively fracked geological formations in the United States, saturated with uranium deposits and hydrocarbon outgassing. Natural plasma phenomena, geomagnetic anomalies, or classified aerospace assets operating under restricted airspace above the ranch are all credible hypotheses. None have been ruled out. None have been confirmed. What mainstream coverage consistently ignores is that the Ute people whose reservation borders this land have described the Uinta Basin as a place of spiritual pressure for centuries. Long before any federal contractor or television crew arrived, indigenous voices were already saying that something here is different. That testimony belongs in this story. 3 decades of investigation, Pentagon funding, rockets fired into the sky, electronics powered down, control sites across 3 states, and still, at a fixed point above a Utah desert, something keeps happening that no one can account for, no one can stop, and no one is willing to walk away from. The federal government does not move scientists in permanently because of folklore. Something is there. The instruments say so. The investigators say so. And now, quietly, without a press conference, the United States government is saying so too. Whatever is opening above that mesa, it is still open, and no one has been able to close it.